We just read in the news that the second largest university investment fund here in the U.S. is buying physical gold. The University of Texas, which, by the way, is right where I live, is putting aside $1 billion in gold bars in a New York vault, some calling this move a tipping point for the precious metals market. Do you agree with that?
Well, tipping point. I mean, gold's been going up for 10 years in a row. I hardly call this the tipping point. Silver's been skyrocketing.
Maybe a tipping point to where we see more, institutional mainstream demand.
Well, again, that has been happening. I mean, if suddenly all the pension funds are going to wake up and say, I got to own gold, they may start thinking about it more and more, and it certainly makes them think about it. But the thing that is getting people's attention is the fact that gold has been going up so much. That's the wrong way to invest. I own gold, I own silver, but where were these guys 5 years ago, 10 years ago? That's when they should have been doing all this. And unfortunately for all of us, most investors don't notice something until there's a good, nice bull market in place, such as with gold and silver. After 10 years of price rises in gold, people are starting to notice. That's what they're noticing more than the fact that the University of Texas bought gold. I'm glad they did. I own gold. And yes, there will be more people buying gold. Eventually, everybody's going to own gold, and then we'll all have to sell our gold. But that's a long way from now.
Yeah, silver in particular has been of great interest to my family. It looks like $50 silver is probably going to be doable very soon. But, Jim, how about a triple-digit silver price in terms of U.S. dollars? Is that going to happen this year?
If it does, we'll all have to sell, because then you've got a bubble. Then you've got a parabolic move, and all parabolic moves end badly. I certainly hope it doesn't happen, because I own silver and want to buy more. My hope is for silver and gold and all commodities that they will continue to go up in an orderly way for another 10 years or so. And eventually the prices will be very, very high. Yes, we'll have triple-digit silver. If it happens this year, Jay, I would probably be starting to think about selling.
But what we've seen so far, you're not calling that parabolic.
No, not yet. I mean, I'm worried about silver. If silver continues to go up the way it has been in the last 2 or 3 weeks, yes, then it would get to triple digit this year. But then we'd have to worry. And it's not parabolic yet. I hope something stops it going up in the foreseeable future, and we have a correction. I don't know what, but you never know what causes corrections. But if they turn into parabolic bubbles in 2011, that's all parabolic bubbles have popped in the end. There's never been one in history that hasn't popped. Now, maybe the U.S. dollar is going to become confetti in 2011, and if that's the case and silver goes to 150, then obviously I wouldn't sell my silver. It would be the U.S. dollar which would be collapsing. But if silver goes up the way you're talking about, without currency collapse, I would be very worried.
Okay, so that's the bottom line. Those that have been holding on to it for a long-term period needs to watch really where the dollar is to decide whether this is time to sell.
That's certainly part of it, yes. And you have to watch the price action. I remember when gold went parabolic in 1980. I shorted gold when it went parabolic in 1980. And it went higher for another 2 weeks after I shorted it. But it eventually collapsed. Silver, it eventually collapsed. All parabolic moves throughout history. There's never been a parabolic move which hasn't collapsed in any asset. And if I hope that silver and gold, yes, will be a bubble someday, Jay. There is no question in my mind. There's no question in my mind that all commodities will be a huge bubble someday. But I don't think that bubble is going to happen in 2011. I think it's more likely 2017 or 2018, or, a few years from now. I'm not picking a year, just it's a few years away. Could happen sooner. I hope not.